Ulster. Let's talk about the Six Nations. 2 weeks, win and a loss. Eddie, what have you made of it so far?
It's been a nervous start for the Six Nations. I think the loss to England really rocked our confidence, and I thought we looked very nervous in Scotland. It's good to get the win against Scotland, but it wasn't that convincing. So I think we're in a difficult place between our ears. Still a good team, well able to play, but between our ears we need to find a solution.
Yeah, absolutely. What have you made of it, Donncha?
Yeah, I'd agree with Eddie. A nervous start, but it's going into a competition as favourites like we were. I don't think it's really in the Irish psyche going into it. It can be tough. But the first opening performance against England was really disappointing. The manner of the performance, and I know the lads will be hurting from it, but to get back into winning ways against Scotland is great.
Eddie, it's interesting, Donncha mentioned there about a nervous energy about them and going in as favourites. I mean, when you saw maybe Rory Best, Johnny Sexton, they did look nervous, particularly in those anthems.
I think the problem for us was that England came on a mission and they kind of got us on the day. They really had our number, and it's the way they beat us, I think. You know, we never really looked like winning that game, and that would rock the confidence. This is a team who came off last season undefeated, beat the All Blacks, and suddenly, you know, it's like a box getting a punch in the mouth. You're not sure what happened, and I think that's actually still resonated last week. So you got to give credit to England, but we got caught kind of cold on the day, and we're still trying to recover from that a bit.
Well, when you have players, though, with the experience of Johnny Sexton, Conor Murray, Pete O'Mahony, to get caught cold, it's quite unlike them.
Yeah, I don't think it's fair to them to have to bring it every test match. There's an under group as well that need to drive standards. We can't always look to Rory and Tommy and Pete. You know, the guys like that go out and put massive performances every week. Like Johnny, you know, for the whole last season was incredible. I think sometimes we need players stepping up around them to support them.
Yeah, absolutely. But Eddie, I mean, Joe talked about it being quiet, and I remember you talked about that back in 2007 as well. It was an issue, and how do you turn that around?
Well, there's a few ways. I mean, there's nothing like a good win to turn it around. Not just a win, but the performance. I think they were hoping for that against Scotland. It didn't happen, so they're even more nervous now. So they've got to find a way over the next two games to really hit the straps and play well. And I think the way to that is you can go two ways. You can stay the guys who are there, give them a vote of confidence, say kick on here, get it right, or maybe bring some in new faces. But at the end of the day, it's very difficult because you're talking about some of your key guys not really firing.
Yeah.
So at some point you're going to have to put them back in again. So he's in a difficult spot with it. But it's not an easy solution. But the best solution we can have is our next two games in particular is really rock up and play really well.
Yeah.
And that would kind of steady the ship, I think.
Well, that's it, because you want to be firing on all cylinders for that Welsh match. I mean, as a coach yourself, I mean, what way do you see it as the best way to do it? Because obviously Wales made 10 changes last weekend, got a convincing enough win. For Ireland, did they play their top players again, or did they give other guys a chance? I
think he's got to think about getting the best guys on the field and finding their form. Particularly Italy. If we click in Italy, we know we could do really well. And I think that could be a turning point if we put a big performance like we've done before. Remember 2 years ago after losing in Murrayfield, we went to Rome and we did a huge number in Italy to get our confidence back. So we may look along the same lines, and that would get it done. It would give us a good energy going into France, because as you say, you don't want to go into Cardiff nervous, and at the moment you wouldn't want to go to Cardiff as how we are.
But I mean, really long term, we're talking World Cup here. I mean, is that not what we want to do? We want to see other players getting an opportunity, the likes of Chris Farrell, the likes of Jack Conan last weekend?
No, I don't agree. I think when you're in it, Tommy, you're playing in the Six Nations, and all you're worried about is beating Italy. I think an awful lot has been made of the performance against against
Scotland, yeah, and England.
England, yeah, it was nearly an overreaction to the loss, but the lads have been fantastic since, and you know, there's form there, and they'll hit that again. I think you pick your best team every time we go for the country. You know, when they're playing for Ireland, get our best guys on the pitch and make sure there's competition for places.
I think Donncha is right now. He's got to get everybody back in the right headspace. But I think he might have had a bit of if we had a very good performance in Scotland, he had a little bit of wriggle room maybe to move things around, because Joey Carberry could probably do with a Six Nations game. You know, coming off the bench is very different than starting a test game. If you're picked on Tuesday or Wednesday, the whole build-up to the game is colossal. But if you're sitting in the stand, you jump in, it's almost an easier transition. So I think maybe he might have, with Johnny not hitting the straps, he may have to think twice about that now.
Yeah, well, with Joey Carberry, went well when he came on, but do you start Joey Carberry and maybe John Cooney? I mean, that's going to be a difficult, two young guys in there.
That's the danger, going to away from home, team's nervous, you put two inexperienced guys in there, but again, you're looking at Conor Murray's form hasn't been great either, so it's a very difficult one at the moment. He's got to tread it very carefully. I've no doubt they'll find their form again, but the sooner the better, because we can say, well, look, it's all about the World Cup, but if you come out of a bad Six Nations that's still hanging in the air when they come together. There's no way of redeeming yourself from that before we start the World Cup.
But Eddie, from a player's point of view, the only way to find your form is on the pitch. You want to play,
Totally,
and I think get our best team out there. You know, that's how you gel.
But I would have thought he was trading maybe this middle game with the rest on each side. That if things were going well, we might have seen guys getting a run who may end up pitching up in the World Cup under pressure.
Yeah, do you not think maybe it's almost a good thing going into the World Cup with less pressure on them? Obviously, that loss to England will take a lot of pressure off the Irish team, Donncha.
I think it's been good for only one group of people, and it was the supporters, because just the balloon was building and building. I think the lads in the group are fine about it. They're gutted with the manner. Like Eddie said, it was a performance against England that would disappoint you. They outmuscled us, and losing to a team that bullies you a bit hurts, you know. And I think that...
And credit to England, they came on a mission, you know. That was their whole focus on the day. We've done that to them many times, you know, and upset them.
Well, that's it. It was like when we played them in the last game of the Six Nations last year. We probably went over there. People weren't expecting us to win. Like the All Blacks in November. You know, we thought that we'd had a chance, but no one really expected Ireland to win. All of a sudden, first game out, Ireland are expected to hammer England.
Exactly.
Which, you know, that sort of pressure going into a big competition.
And England were always getting those big guns back, you know, fellas who've been missing in the autumn and stuff. They're all back on deck. They have a certain focus about them. You could see the way they carry themselves. Like, this is their chance to reset as well for the World Cup. They've had a horrid year last year, so they're trying to reset for the World Cup.
But one thing I'd say, teams like Argentina and South Africa will look at the performance against Ireland and will say that's how to play against that team. If you bring that type of physicality and kicking game, you'll get reward against Ireland.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, we could talk about this all day, but we have to